The red dust of Kepler 442b swirled around Dr. Elena Martinez's boots as she walked toward the ancient structure. The planet's twin suns cast long shadows across the dig site, making the alien ruins look even more mysterious than usual. Elena had been working on this remote world for 3 months now, carefully uncovering what appeared to be the remains of an old Zephyrian outpost. The Zephyrians were supposed to be the oldest known species in the galaxy. Their civilization had risen and fallen long before humans even discovered fire. Finding their ruins was always exciting, but Elena had a feeling this dig was different. The structure they were uncovering was too well preserved, too intact for something that should have been millions of years old. "Dr. Martinez, you need to see this," called out Ben, one of her research assistants. He was standing near the main excavation pit, holding a strange metallic object in his gloved hands. Elena hurried over, her heart racing. The object was unlike anything she had seen before. It was roughly the size of a book, made of some kind of metal that seemed to shift colors in the light. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light. "Where did you find this?" Elena asked, taking the object carefully. "It was buried in what looks like a sealed chamber," Ben replied. The whole room was perfectly preserved. No dust, no decay, nothing. It's like it was sealed yesterday. Elena turned the object over in her hands. The symbols were definitely Zephyrian, but they were written in a dialect she had never seen before. The metal was warm to the touch, and she could feel a slight vibration coming from within. "Get Commander Sullivan on the radio," she said. "Tell him we need a security team down here immediately." Jake Sullivan arrived at the dig site within an hour. The commander of the exploration vessel Endeavour was a tall man with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had been overseeing the human research operations in this sector for the past 2 years, and Elena trusted his judgment completely. "What have you found, Doctor?" Jake asked as he approached the excavation site. Elena handed him the metallic object. "We think it's some kind of data storage device. The chamber it came from was sealed with technology we don't understand." "Everything inside was perfectly preserved?" Jake examined the object carefully. "These symbols ... they're Zephyrian?" "Yes, but it's an ancient dialect, much older than anything we've seen before." Elena paused. "Commander, there's something else." "The dating scans we ran on the chamber. They're showing some very strange results." "What kind of strange?" "According to our equipment, this chamber was sealed 3,000 years from now." Jake raised an eyebrow. "That's impossible." "I know, but we've run the tests 5 times. Every scan gives us the same result." Elena took the object back from Jake. "I think we need to get this to the linguistics department. If we can translate what's written here, maybe we can understand what's going on." The next day, the object was transported to the Endeavour's research lab. Elena worked alongside Dr. Kevin Brown, the ship's computer specialist, to try to activate the device. After hours of careful work, they managed to get it to respond. A holographic display appeared above the object, showing rows of Zephyrian text. Elena's breath caught in her throat as she read the first few lines. "Kevin, record everything. This is ... is incredible." "What does it say?" Jake asked. He had been watching the proceedings from across the lab. Elena's hands were shaking. As she began to translate, it says, "Final entry in the Galactic Consortium database. Date, 4,247 years after the Great Convergence. Author, Archon Veltar of the Zephyrian High Council." "That's impossible," Jake said. "The Great Convergence happened only 800 years ago. This would be dated thousands of years in the future." Elena continued reading, her voice growing quieter with each word. It says, "After millennia of research, we have finally discovered the truth about the species known as humans. They are not the young, primitive race we believed them to be. They are the architects of our entire civilization." The lab fell silent. Kevin stopped typing. Jake moved closer to the holographic display. "Keep reading," Jake said quietly. Elena's voice was barely above a whisper now. Every major decision in galactic history, every technological breakthrough, every peace treaty, every war, all of it was guided by human influence. They have been among us since the beginning, always. In small numbers, always in seemingly minor roles. But they have been shaping our development for thousands of years. She paused, her face pale. There's more. It says, we thought we were the teachers, and they were the students. We thought we were the advanced civilization, and they were the primitives learning from us, but we were wrong. So very wrong. Jake leaned against the lab table. This has to be some kind of mistake. Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. We've only been part of the Galactic Consortium for 50 years, Elena continued translating. They made us think we were making our own choices? They made us believe we were developing our own culture, our own technology, our own government. But every step we took was part of their plan. Every decision we made was what they wanted us to decide. The final section of the text made Elena's blood run cold. We finally understand now. The humans were never trying to learn from us. They were never trying to join our civilization. They were teaching us. They were creating us. They were molding us into exactly what they wanted us to become. At the bottom of the display, there was a simple signature, Archon Veltar, Zephyrian High Council. Below that, in smaller text, was a single line that made Elena's heart stop. Dear gods, they were just toying with us the whole time. Jake and Elena stared at the holographic display in stunned silence. The implications of what they were reading were staggering. If this was true, then everything they thought they knew about human history, about their place in the galaxy, about their relationship with other species, was a lie. We need to contact Earth immediately, Jake said finally. This information needs to reach the highest levels of government. Elena nodded, but she was still staring at the display. Commander, what if this is true? What if we really have been manipulating galactic civilization all along? Jake looked at her grimly. Then we need to figure out how we did it, and more importantly, we need to figure out why. The holographic display flickered and went dark, leaving them in the quiet hum of the ship's laboratory. Outside the porthole, the alien stars continued their ancient dance. Unaware that two humans had just discovered a secret that would change everything, they thought they knew about their place in the universe. Dr. Lisa Chun stared at the holographic display in her small office aboard the Galactic Consortium research station. The ancient Zephyrian text floated before her, each symbol glowing softly in the dim light. She had been working on this translation for 3 days straight, barely stopping to eat or sleep. Lisa was one of the few humans who worked directly with the Galactic Consortium as a language expert. She had spent the last 10 years studying alien languages and helping with communications between different species. But this text was unlike anything she had ever seen before. The message from Commander Sullivan had been urgent. A discovery on Kepler 442b required immediate linguistic analysis. The preliminary translation suggested something impossible, something that could change everything humans thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. Any progress? Asked Captain Ryan Murphy as he entered her office. Ryan was a human liaison officer who worked closely with the consortium's governing council. He had been assigned to help Lisa gather any historical records that might support or contradict the claims in the ancient text. Lisa rubbed her tired eyes. The translation is complete, but the implications are ... She paused, searching for the right words. Ryan, if this is accurate, then we've been living a lie for centuries. Ryan sat down across from her desk. What exactly does it say? Lisa turned the holographic display toward him. It's a detailed report about human involvement in galactic history. According to this, humans have been present at every major turning point in galactic civilization. Not as leaders or conquerors, but as advisors, traders, scientists, and diplomats. That's impossible, Ryan said. We've only been in space for a few hundred years. Lisa pulled up another section of the text. Look at this. It mentions a human trader named David Park who was present during the signing of the Andromedan Peace Accords. That was over 1,000 years ago, long before humans supposedly achieved spaceflight. Ryan leaned forward. Could it be a different species with a similar name? I thought so too, but look at the physical description. Lisa highlighted a section of the text. It describes him as having the typical human features: forward-facing eyes, minimal body hair, bipedal structure. The description matches humans perfectly. Lisa stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. There's more. The text mentions humans at the founding of the Galactic Trade Federation, at the development of the Universal Translator, at the creation of the consortium itself. Always in small numbers, always in seemingly minor roles, but always there. Ryan joined her at the window. What kind of roles? That's what makes it so strange. Lisa turned back to her desk and pulled up more sections of the text. They were never the ones making the big decisions. They were the people who suggested small changes, who offered helpful advice, who provided crucial information at just the right moment. She highlighted another passage. Here it mentions a human scientist named Carol White who was working with the Zephyrians when they developed their first faster-than-light drive. She wasn't the lead researcher, just a junior assistant. But her suggestions about energy flow patterns led to the breakthrough that made the technology possible. Ryan read over the passage. It could be a coincidence. Maybe, but there are dozens of examples like this. Lisa pulled up a long list of entries. A human diplomat who suggested the exact wording that resolved the Centauri border dispute. A human engineer who recommended the design changes that made the first space stations possible. A human trader who happened to know about a mineral deposit that prevented an economic crisis. Ryan studied the list. These are all major events in galactic history. Exactly. And according to this text, humans were involved in every single one of them. Lisa sat back down. But here's the really strange part. In each case, the humans seemed to know exactly what to do, exactly what to say, exactly what to suggest. It's like they had some kind of plan. Ryan pulled up his own datapad. I've been going through the consortium's historical archives like you asked. I found some interesting patterns. He showed Lisa a series of trade records. Look at this. Human. Merchants always seem to arrive at planets just before major resource discoveries. They set up trade agreements that seem fair at the time, but become incredibly profitable once the resources are found. Lisa examined the records. That could be luck. Maybe once or twice, but this pattern repeats hundreds of times over the centuries. Ryan pulled up more data. And look at this. Human diplomats have an amazing success rate at resolving conflicts. They broker peace deals that seem balanced, but if you look at the long-term effects, they almost always benefit human interests. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Show me the pattern. Ryan displayed a timeline of major galactic conflicts. Every time there's a major war or dispute, humans get involved as mediators. They always manage to find a solution that ends the fighting. But when you analyze the peace treaties years later, you realize that the terms subtly shift the balance of power in ways that benefit Earth. Lisa stared at the timeline. It's like they're playing a game. That's exactly what it looks like. Ryan pulled up another set of records. Look at human scientific contributions. They always seem to make discoveries that advance galactic technology in directions that play to human strengths. He showed her a list of technological breakthroughs. When humans helped develop better communication systems, they made sure the technology worked best with human brain patterns. When they contributed to transportation improvements, they designed them to be most comfortable for human physiology. Lisa was beginning to understand. They weren't trying to benefit other species. They were gradually making the galaxy more suitable for humans. And they did it so subtly that nobody noticed. Ryan closed his datapad. Lisa, if this text is accurate, then humans have been slowly reshaping galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. Not through force or obvious manipulation, but through thousands of small influences that add up over time. Lisa looked back at the holographic display. The text calls it the long game. It says humans have been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, but how? Ryan asked. How could humans have been doing this for so long without anyone noticing? Lisa highlighted another section of the text. According to this, it wasn't planned. At least not consciously. The text suggests that humans have some kind of natural ability to understand complex systems and predict long-term consequences. They were doing it instinctively. Ryan sat quietly for a moment. So, we've been unconsciously manipulating galactic civilization? It looks that way. Lisa turned off the holographic display. The question is, what do we do with this information? Ryan stood up. We need to contact Earth immediately. If this is true, then there are people who need to know about it, Lisa nodded. But Ryan, what if other species find out about this? What if they realize that humans have been influencing them for centuries? Ryan looked out the window at the diverse alien ships docked at the station. I don't know, Lisa, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. As Ryan left her office, Lisa turned back to the holographic display. She reactivated it and read the final lines of the text once more. The words seemed to glow brighter now, as if they were warning her about something terrible that was coming. They were just toying with us the whole time. Lisa wondered if the humans who had written this future history realized what they had done, or if they were still doing it right now without even knowing it. Agent Sam Foster spread the holographic charts across the conference table in the secure briefing room. The data glowed softly in the dimmed lights, showing connections between events that had happened across centuries of galactic history. Sam had been working in intelligence for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat across from him, her own datapad displaying similar patterns. She had been assigned as his partner for this investigation. 3 weeks ago, when the first reports about the Kepler 442b discovery reached Earth Command. Their job was simple in theory, but terrifying in practice. Find out if humans had really been manipulating galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. Show me the Rigel incident again, Sam said, adjusting one of the holographic displays. Amy pulled up the files. Standard mining dispute between the Altarians and the vegan colonies. Both sides claimed rights to the asteroid belt. Conflict lasted 3 years, thousands of deaths on both sides. Sam nodded. And then? A human freighter captain named Joe Martinez happened to be in the system. He suggested using ancient Zephyrian law to resolve the dispute. The law stated that mining rights went to whoever could prove they needed the resources most. Let me guess, Sam said. Both sides agreed to his suggestion. Yes, and the dispute was resolved within 6 months. Amy highlighted sections of the report. The Altarians got the mining rights because they could prove their home planet was running low on key minerals. Sam leaned back in his chair. Sounds reasonable. What's the problem? Amy pulled up another display. The problem is what happened 5 years later. The Altarians used those minerals to build a new fleet of ships. They became the dominant military power in that sector. And guess who they signed their first major defense contract with? Earth, Sam said quietly. Exactly, the humans who suggested. The solution knew exactly what would happen. They turned a two-sided conflict into a situation where Earth gained a powerful ally. Sam studied the data. But Joe Martinez was just a freighter captain. How could he have known? That's what makes this so strange. Amy pulled up Martinez's personal records. According to his file, he was a simple cargo hauler. No special training in law or diplomacy. But somehow he knew exactly the right law to reference and exactly how both sides would react. Sam walked over to the window, looking out at the sprawling Earth Defense Complex. Show me another example. Amy switched to a different file. The Great Famine of 2847. The Centauri agricultural worlds suffered crop failures for 3 straight years. Millions were facing starvation. I remember reading about this in school, Sam said. The Galactic Consortium organized a massive relief effort. Right, but here's what they didn't teach in school. Amy highlighted a section of the report. The relief effort was failing. The logistics were too complex. The different species couldn't agree on distribution methods, and political tensions were making everything worse. Sam returned to the table. So what changed? A human agricultural scientist named Linda Thompson was working on one of the relief stations. She suggested a new approach. Instead of trying to coordinate everything centrally, they should let each species handle their own distribution methods but use a common tracking system. Makes sense, Sam said. It worked perfectly. The famine relief became the most successful humanitarian effort in galactic history. Amy paused. But here's the interesting part. Linda Thompson wasn't just any scientist. Her tracking system became the standard for all galactic trade. Sam saw where this was going. And who controlled the tracking system? A human-owned company that Thompson helped establish. Within 10 years, they were processing 60% of all galactic trade transactions. Amy pulled up financial records. The company made Earth one of the wealthiest planets in the galaxy. Sam sat down heavily. She solved a humanitarian crisis and accidentally created a business empire. Accidentally? Amy raised an eyebrow. Look at her background. Thompson had degrees in agricultural science, logistics, and interstellar economics. She was perfectly qualified to know exactly what her suggestion would lead to. Sam studied Thompson's file. But she was working for the relief effort. She was trying to help people. I'm sure she was, Amy said. But she was also positioning humans to benefit from the solution. And the really scary part is, I don't think she was doing it on purpose. Sam looked confused. What do you mean? Amy pulled up another holographic display, this one showing psychological profiles. I've been analyzing the humans involved in all these incidents. They all have similar personality traits, high intelligence, strong problem-solving skills, and an unusual ability to see long-term consequences of their actions. That doesn't sound unusual for humans, Sam said. Maybe not, but look at this. Amy showed him comparative data. When we test these same abilities in other species, humans consistently score higher. Not by huge amounts, but consistently higher. It's like humans are naturally better at understanding complex systems. Sam studied the psychological data. You think humans are just naturally good at manipulation? I think humans are naturally good at optimization, Amy corrected. They look at a problem and instinctively find the solution that works best for everyone involved. But their definition of everyone always includes humans. Sam pulled up the original Kepler 442b discovery report. The database entry mentioned something about humans playing chess while everyone else played checkers. That's a good analogy. Amy said, other species focus on immediate problems and short-term solutions. Humans automatically think about how their actions will affect things years or even decades later. Sam walked around the table, looking at all the data they had gathered. So we've been unconsciously manipulating galactic civilization by being helpful? It looks that way. Amy pulled up a timeline showing human involvement in major galactic events. Every time humans help solve a problem, they do it in a way that benefits human interests in the long run. And they do it so naturally that they probably don't even realize they're doing it. Sam pointed to a section of the timeline. What about the formation of the Galactic Consortium itself? Were humans involved in that? Amy nodded grimly. Dr. Patricia Adams, human xenobiologist. She was part of the team that wrote the consortium charter. Her suggestions about representation and voting procedures seemed fair to everyone at the time. But the voting system she designed gives disproportionate power to species that are good at building coalitions and making long-term alliances. Amy paused. Guess which species is best at those things? Sam felt a chill run down his spine. Humans. The entire structure of galactic government was designed, probably unconsciously, to favor human-style thinking and human-style diplomacy. Amy turned off the holographic displays. Sam, I think we've been running the galaxy for centuries without even knowing it. Sam sat in silence for a long moment. What do we do with this information? We report it to command, Amy said. But, Sam, what do you think will happen when other species find out about this? Sam looked at the now dark conference table. I don't know. But I have a feeling that when they do find out, everything is going to change. Amy gathered her data pads. The question is, will it change for the better or for the worse? As they prepared to leave the briefing room. Sam looked back at the table where they had just mapped out centuries of human influence on galactic civilization. The pattern was clear, undeniable, and terrifying. Humans had been shaping the galaxy's development for over 1,000 years, always helping, always solving problems, always making things better for everyone, and always, somehow, making things just a little bit better for humans. The scary part wasn't that humans had been manipulating galactic civilization. The scary part was that they had been doing it by being genuinely helpful, genuinely caring, and genuinely trying to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. They had conquered the galaxy with kindness, and nobody had even noticed. Professor Alex Wright sat in his private study, surrounded by thousands of old books and digital archives. The room smelled of coffee and old paper, a combination that usually comforted him. But today, nothing could ease the growing unease in his chest. As Earth's leading expert on human history, he had been asked to investigate the most disturbing question he had ever encountered. Had humans really been manipulating galactic civilization for over 1,000 years? The evidence from the Kepler 442b discovery was overwhelming, but Alex needed to find proof in Earth's own records. If humans had been unconsciously influencing galactic development, there should be traces of it in human history, psychology, and behavior patterns. Dr. Kate Morrison knocked on his office door before entering. She was a cognitive specialist who had worked with Alex on several projects over the years. Her expertise in human psychology made her the perfect partner for this investigation. Any luck with the historical records? Kate asked, settling into the chair across from his desk. Alex gestured to the holographic displays floating around the room. Too much luck, actually. Kate, I'm finding patterns that I never noticed before. Patterns that suggest humans have been unconsciously preparing for galactic manipulation for thousands of years. Kate pulled up her own datapad. Show me what you found. Alex activated one of the displays. Let's start with something simple. Human trade patterns throughout history. Look at how human merchants operated during the age of exploration on Earth. The display showed maps of ancient trade routes. Human traders didn't just exchange goods. They established relationships, learned languages, studied local customs, and adapted their approach to each new culture they encountered. That's normal business practice, Kate said. Yes, but look at the results. Alex highlighted different regions on the map. Wherever humans established trade relationships, they didn't just make money. They gradually influenced local customs, introduced new ideas, and created dependencies that lasted for generations. Kate studied the data. You're saying humans have always been cultural manipulators? Not manipulators exactly, optimizers. Alex pulled up more historical examples. Look at human diplomacy. When humans negotiate, they don't just try to get what they want. They instinctively look for solutions that make everyone feel like they're winning. Alex showed her records of historical treaties and negotiations. But when you analyze these deals years later, you realize that humans always structured them to create long-term advantages for themselves. Kate leaned forward. Give me a specific example. The Treaty of Versailles after World War I. The Americans pushed for terms that seemed more moderate than what the Europeans wanted. They positioned themselves as the reasonable peacemakers. Alex highlighted sections of the treaty, but the structure they created made America the dominant global power for the next century. That could be intentional strategy, Kate said. Maybe, but look at this. Alex pulled up records of smaller, less famous negotiations. Town council meetings, business deals, family disputes. The same pattern appears everywhere humans are involved in problem solving. Kate examined the data. Humans always find solutions that benefit them in the long run, not just benefit them. Solutions that make other people want to work with them, depend on them, and adopt their way of thinking. Alex walked to the window. Kate, I think we've been doing this since the beginning of human civilization. Kate activated her own holographic display. That matches what I've been finding in psychological research. Alex, there's something unusual about human cognitive patterns. She showed him brain scans and behavioral studies. Humans have an extraordinary ability to model complex systems in their minds. They can predict how changes in one part of a system will affect other parts, even when those effects won't be visible for years. Alex returned to his desk. Other species can't do this? Not to the same degree. Most species focus on immediate cause and effect. Humans naturally think in terms of cascading consequences. Kate pulled up comparative studies. When we give humans and other species the same problem-solving tests, humans consistently find solutions that have better long-term outcomes. Alex studied the brain scans. So humans are naturally better at playing the long game? Much better. But here's the really interesting part. Kate highlighted sections of the brain scans. Humans don't consciously calculate these long-term strategies. It's an unconscious process. They instinctively choose actions that will benefit them in the future. Alex felt a chill. They're not trying to manipulate. They're just naturally good at it. Kate nodded. And there's more. Humans have an unusual ability to understand and predict the behavior of other species. They can adapt their communication style, their negotiation tactics, even their body language, to make other species more comfortable. That sounds like empathy, Alex said. It is empathy, but it's also manipulation. Humans use their understanding of other species to influence them, usually without even realizing they're doing it. Kate pulled up more studies. When humans interact with other species, they unconsciously mirror behaviors that make the other species more likely to agree with them. Alex sat down heavily. So we've been unconsciously manipulating every species we've ever met? It looks that way. And the scariest part is, we're so good at it that the other species enjoy being manipulated. Kate showed him interaction studies. Other species consistently report that they find humans trustworthy, helpful, and easy to work with. Alex looked at the data. Because we're giving them what they want while getting what we need. Exactly. Humans have an unconscious ability to create win-win situations that are just a little bit more win for humans. Kate paused. Alex, I think this is an evolutionary adaptation. What do you mean? Kate pulled up evolutionary psychology research. Humans evolved in small groups where cooperation was essential for survival. We developed the ability to influence group decisions while maintaining social harmony. And now we're using those same skills on a galactic scale, Alex said, without even realizing it. Kate closed her displays. Alex, what if the reason humans adapted so quickly to galactic civilization is because we've been unconsciously reshaping it to match human social patterns? Alex thought about this. We made the galaxy more human-friendly by being helpful. We made the galaxy more human-friendly by being human. Kate stood up. Every time we solved a problem, mediated a dispute, or suggested an improvement, we did it in a way that reflected human values and human thinking patterns. Alex looked around his study, filled with thousands of years of human history. And over time, the galaxy started thinking like us. Kate nodded. The database entry from Kepler 442b said humans were toying with other species. But I don't think that's right. I think humans were just being human. And being human naturally involves influencing others to see things your way. Alex activated his communication system. We need to report this to Earth Command immediately. Alex, what do you think will happen when other species realize what we've been doing? Alex looked at the holographic displays showing centuries of human influence. I think they're going to be very afraid of us. Kate gathered her data pads. Should they be? Alex considered the question. Kate, if humans can unconsciously manipulate galactic civilization just by being helpful and friendly, what could we do if we actually tried to take control? The question hung in the air as they prepared to leave the study. Neither of them wanted to think about the answer. Outside, the sun was setting over Earth's capital city. In a few hours, their report would reach the highest levels of human government. Soon after that, the galaxy would learn the truth about humanity's unconscious influence on galactic civilization. Alex wondered if the galaxy would ever trust humans again, once they realized they had been dancing to humanity's tune for over 1,000 years. He also wondered if humans would be able to trust themselves. once they realized what they were capable of doing without even trying. Commander Tony Garcia stood in the main conference hall of the Galactic Consortium headquarters, watching as alien delegates filed into their seats. The massive circular chamber was designed to accommodate representatives from over 200 different species, each with their own unique physical requirements and cultural preferences. Today, however, the atmosphere was different. There was tension in the air that Tony had never felt before in his 5 years as Earth's senior diplomatic representative. Word of the Kepler 442b discovery had spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. The Zephyrian delegate, a tall being with silver skin and large black eyes, approached Tony's section. "Commander Garcia," he said in heavily accented Standard Galactic, "is it true what the reports are saying about your species?" Tony kept his expression neutral. "What exactly are the reports saying, Ambassador Kelthan?" "They say humans have been manipulating galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. Kelthan's voice carried a mixture of fear and anger. "They say every major decision we have made has been influenced by human trickery." Before Tony could respond, the session began. The consortium's chief administrator, a massive whale-like creature called Administrator Velanoth, activated the central holographic display. The image of the ancient database entry appeared, floating above the assembly floor. "Fellow delegates," Velanoth's deep voice resonated through the chamber, "we are here to discuss claims that have shaken the very foundation of our galactic community. Claims that suggest the species known as humans have been secretly controlling our development for centuries." A wave of uncomfortable sounds rippled through the chamber. Some species chittered nervously, others hummed in distress, and a few made sounds that Tony's translator couldn't interpret. Dr. Rachel Stone sat beside Tony, her expertise in psychology making her invaluable for this unprecedented situation. She had been studying alien reactions to the revelation for the past week, trying to understand how different species were processing the news. "The evidence is overwhelming," continued Velanoth. "Historical analysis shows human involvement in every major galactic event for the past millennium. Trade agreements, peace treaties, technological developments, even the formation of this very consortium." The Alteran representative, a reptilian being with bright blue scales, stood up. "What we want to know is whether this was intentional. Did humans deliberately deceive us?" Tony rose from his seat. "Honored delegates, I can assure you that the human government was as surprised by these revelations as you are. We had no knowledge of any systematic manipulation of galactic affairs. But you admit the manipulation happened?" asked the Centauri delegate, a floating gas cloud entity that spoke through a mechanical translator. Tony chose his words carefully. "We admit that humans appear to have influenced galactic development in ways that we did not previously understand." Dr. Stone activated her datapad and stood up. "If I may address the assembly, I believe I can explain what actually happened." Velanoth granted her permission to speak. Rachel moved to the center of the chamber, where her voice would carry to all the delegates. "The evidence suggests that humans did not consciously plan to manipulate galactic civilization," she began. "Instead, human psychology appears to be naturally suited for this type of unconscious influence." The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Rachel waited for quiet before continuing. "Humans evolved on a planet where cooperation and long-term planning were essential for survival. This gave us certain cognitive abilities that other species may not possess to the same degree." The Andromedan delegate, a crystalline being that communicated through light patterns, pulsed a question. "What kind of abilities?" "The ability to model complex systems and predict long-term consequences. The ability to understand and adapt to other cultures. The ability to find solutions that appear beneficial to everyone while subtly favoring human interests." Dr. Stone pulled up holographic examples. When humans helped resolve the Rigel mining dispute, the human mediator genuinely wanted to help both sides. But his solution unconsciously favored an outcome that would benefit Earth in the long run. The vegan delegate, a plant-like creature with multiple moving branches, rustled anxiously. "So you are saying humans cannot help but manipulate us?" I'm saying humans naturally optimize situations in ways that benefit human interests, usually without realizing they're doing it. Rachel paused. It's not malicious intent. It's simply how human minds work. Tony stood up again. Dr. Stone is correct. The humans involved in these historical events were genuinely trying to help. They weren't following orders from Earth or participating in some grand conspiracy. But the result was the same, said the Zephyrian delegate. You shaped our civilization to serve your purposes. We shaped galactic civilization to function in ways that made sense to us, Tony replied. When humans solve problems, we naturally use human-style solutions. When we build relationships, we use human-style diplomacy. The chief administrator's voice boomed through the chamber. The question before us now is what we do with this knowledge. The chamber fell silent. This was the moment everyone had been dreading. The Alteran delegate spoke first. How can we trust any agreement we have with humans? How do we know we're making our own decisions and not being manipulated? Dr. Stone returned to the center of the chamber. That's the challenge we all face now. But I want to point out something important. The galaxy has experienced unprecedented peace and prosperity during the period of human involvement. She activated new holographic displays. Wars have become less frequent and less destructive. Trade has flourished. Technological development has accelerated. Quality of life has improved for most species. Because you made us want the same things you wanted, accused the Centauri delegate. Yes, Dr. Stone admitted. Humans unconsciously encourage the development of galactic values that match human values. Cooperation, peaceful resolution of conflicts, mutual benefit through trade. The vegan delegate rustled again. So you conquered us without weapons or armies. You conquered us by making us think like you. Tony felt the weight of the entire galaxy's attention. We didn't conquer anyone. We joined a galactic community and tried to be helpful members of that community. But your help came with a price, said the Andromedan delegate. Your help changed us. Rachel activated one more display. I want you to consider something. Every species in this chamber has benefited from human involvement in galactic affairs. Your planets are more prosperous, your people are healthier, your conflicts are resolved more peacefully. But we lost something too, the Zephyrian delegate said quietly. We lost our independence. We lost the ability to develop our own solutions. To our own problems? The chamber fell silent again. Tony realized that this was the heart of the issue. It wasn't about whether human influence had been beneficial. It was about whether other species had the right to develop their own path, even if that path was less optimal. What do you want us to do? Tony asked the assembly. We can't undo the past. We can't change the fact that human psychology naturally leads to this kind of influence. The chief administrator's voice was heavy with sadness. That, Commander, Garcia, is what we must decide. Can humans and other species coexist in the same galaxy, knowing what we now know? Or has this revelation changed everything permanently? Tony looked around the chamber at the faces of dozens of different species. Some looked angry, some looked afraid, and some looked deeply sad. But all of them looked at humans differently. Now, the galaxy had awakened to the truth about human influence, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain Ben Parker stood on the bridge of the research vessel Discovery, watching the strange energy readings on his instruments. The ship was approaching the coordinates where the mysterious database entry had originated, following a trail of temporal distortions that had taken 3 months to track down. Dr. Sophie Taylor sat at the science station, her fingers dancing across holographic controls as she monitored the temporal scanning equipment. As Earth's leading expert on time physics, she was the only person qualified to investigate the source of the future database entry. Captain, I'm detecting a massive temporal anomaly ahead, Sophie announced. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Before, Ben studied the readings. Could this be where the database entry came from? It's possible. The temporal signatures match the dating on the Kepler 442b artifact. Sophie adjusted her instruments. Captain, I'm also detecting artificial structures within the anomaly, Something is definitely there. As the Discovery approached the anomaly, the view screen shimmered and revealed a sight that took Ben's breath away. Floating in space was a massive structure, clearly artificial but unlike anything in current galactic technology. It was beautiful, and terrifying at the same time. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Kevin Adams from the navigation station. "What is that thing?" Before anyone could answer, the ship's communication system activated. A voice spoke in perfect standard Galactic, but with an accent that sounded somehow familiar. "Welcome, humans of the past. We have been waiting for you." Ben activated the ship's communication system. "This is Captain Parker of the Earth vessel. Discovery, who are you?" "We are your descendants, Captain Parker. We are humanity, 3,000 years in your future." Sophie's equipment went wild with readings. "Captain, the temporal field around that structure is incredibly complex. They've somehow created a stable link between our time and theirs." The voice continued. "We sent the database entry back to your time because we needed you to understand the truth about your species before it was too late." "Too late for what?" Ben asked. A holographic image appeared on the bridge, showing a human figure that looked somehow familiar yet different. The face was clearly human, but there was something in the eyes that suggested vast knowledge and perhaps regret. "Too late to choose a different path," the future human said. "Captain Parker, Dr. Taylor, you have discovered that your species has been unconsciously manipulating galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. Sophie leaned forward. "The database entry mentioned that humans were toying with other species. Is that true?" The future human's expression grew sad. "Not toying, Dr. Taylor, teaching, guiding, shaping, but the result is the same. In our time, the galaxy has become completely homogenized. Every species thinks like humans, acts like humans, values what humans value." Ben felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean we destroyed galactic diversity?" "Not destroyed, absorbed. By the year 5000, there will be no meaningful cultural differences between species. Everyone will solve problems the human way, build societies the human way, even think the human way." The holographic figure gestured, and images appeared showing a future galaxy. Ben could see that while the alien species still looked different, physically, their cities, their technology, and their behavior patterns were unmistakably human-influenced. "We didn't do this through force or obvious control," the future human continued. "We did it through kindness, helpfulness, and the natural human tendency to optimize everything we touch." Sophie studied the temporal readings. "Why did you send the warning back to our time?" "Because you still have a choice. In your era, the process is not yet complete. Other species can still develop their own paths if humans step back and allow them to do so." Ben looked at the images of the homogenized future. "But the galaxy looks peaceful and prosperous in your timeline." "It is peaceful and prosperous," the future human agreed. "Crime is almost non-existent. Wars are unthinkable. Resources are distributed efficiently. Everyone cooperates for the common good." "That sounds like a good thing," Lieutenant Adams said. The future human turned toward him. "It is a good thing, Lieutenant, but it came at a terrible cost. The galaxy lost something precious when it became completely human-influenced." "What did it lose?" Sophie asked. "Wonder. Surprise. The beauty of truly different ways of thinking and being." The future human's voice carried deep sadness. "When everyone thinks alike, when everyone solves problems the same way, when everyone values the same things, the universe becomes a smaller place." Ben studied the images more carefully. "So you're warning us to stop influencing other species?" "We're asking you to make a conscious choice. Continue on your current path, and you will create a galaxy of peace and prosperity where everyone thinks like humans. Or step back and allow other species to develop their own unique solutions to the challenges of existence." Sophie looked up from her instruments. "What happens if we choose the second option? The galaxy will be messier. There will be more conflicts, more inefficiencies, more suffering in the short term. But there will also be genuine diversity, unexpected solutions, and the continued existence of truly alien ways of thinking." The bridge fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Ben realized they were being asked to choose between human success and galactic diversity. "There's something else you should know," the future human continued. "In our timeline, other species eventually discovered the truth about human influence. At first they were angry and afraid, but then something interesting happened." "What?" Ben asked. "They asked us to keep doing it. When they realized how much peace and prosperity human guidance had brought them, they didn't want us to stop." Sophie gasped. "They chose to be influenced by humans?" "They chose the benefits that came with human influence over the challenges of complete independence. But the choice was made after they understood what they were giving up?" The future human gestured again, and new images appeared. "Captain Parker, the database entry we sent to your time will soon be discovered by other species. They will learn the truth about human influence on galactic civilization." "And then what happens?" Ben asked. "Then they will face the same choice we are offering you. Accept human guidance and enjoy the benefits it brings, or reject it and forge their own path through the universe." The holographic figure began to fade. "The choice is not yours alone to make, Captain. It belongs to every species in the galaxy. But someone had to make sure the choice was made with full knowledge of the consequences." As the image disappeared, Sophie looked at her instruments. "Captain, the temporal field is collapsing. They're severing the connection." The massive structure in space began to fade away, leaving only empty space and the lingering energy signatures of the temporal anomaly. Ben sat in his captain's chair, overwhelmed by what they had learned. Humanity had the power to guide the galaxy toward peace and prosperity, but using that power would eventually eliminate the very diversity that made the galaxy interesting. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "We need to report this immediately." As the Discovery turned toward home, Ben wondered what choice humanity would make. Would they embrace their role as unconscious puppet masters of galactic civilization? Or would they step back and allow the galaxy to develop its own chaotic, wonderful, unpredictable path? Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. The secret was out, and now everyone had to live with the knowledge that humans had been playing the long game all along. Not out of malice or ambition, but simply because it was what humans naturally did. The final entry in the galactic database had been delivered, and now the real game could begin.